That's the law of the land for today.
Now, that's a serious law of the land, and I truly appreciate it. Thank you so much. Today, we're going to hear from Dr. Umar Johnson, and of course, we have Goodness in the Poetry Cut on the Poetry Corner. Right now, about to open up the microphone for Goodness. Here we are. Good morning, Goodness. How are you?
Good morning. Good morning, Sister Queen. How you doing today?
I cannot complain. It's a happy Friday. You already know who the sun sets free is free indeed. Looking forward to being free and about to check this phone line right about now. Let's see how this is going. Good morning. You're on the air with Take a Solar Moment.
Good morning, Queen. Dr. Umar Johnson.
OMG. Well, goodness, we know he's no stranger to the show, so let's introduce him the proper way. Bro, you ready?
Yes. Let's do it, sis. Let's do it like Brutus. Let's do this.
All right, so this is how we do on Take a Solar Moment. Of course, we open up the mic, and our guest is sitting there wondering, what will we say in suspense? Well, for this king, he's no stranger to our show. Dr. Umar Johnson is not only a longtime guest, but a family member to our community here in Buffalo, spreading education. The man is always on the go, radical with the education message, and more than anything, I appreciate the fact that he took time out of his busy schedule, especially having to come to Buffalo and Syracuse next week, to spend some time with us on Take a Solar Moment. Goodness, what you got to say about him before we cut him loose?
Yes. Yes. Let's break it down about Fdmg. You know, this gentleman, like you said, has been on the show. He comes to Buffalo, and when he comes to Buffalo, you know, brings all his knowledge with him. He's traveled abroad. You know, he's down with the Marcus Garvey, Frederick Douglass, you know, and I'm so looking forward to him opening up his first school. This is what this man has been fighting for. And, you know, we just looking so forward to seeing it being birthed. You know, this man is originally from Philly, but, I mean, you know, his heart is wherever he be, you know. So, you know, when he comes to Buffalo, he's a Buffalonian. We love him just like that. I'm looking for it.
Welcome, King.
2 nights, 2 cities, and 2 nights. Got him.
So take the mic, King. Where are we going today? Tell us about this mission you're on this year coming back.
Yes, indeed. I'm looking forward to coming back next Saturday. It'll be my first visit since fall of 2017. So a little more than a year and a half, almost 2 years there. Obviously, I want to deal with updates on the school-to-prison pipeline. I want to make sure I keep the parents abreast of changes in educational law, changes in the policy, making sure they're clear about the definitions that are being used for these diagnoses that we use, everything from the learning disability to ADHD to autism, to the speech and language impairment, so forth and so on. I want to share with the parents techniques that they should use to deal with the school system, such as not telling them all your business, such as knowing why you're going into a meeting. So often our parents go to meetings and they don't even know why they're going to the meeting. They don't even have a goal for themselves. You never go into a meeting unless you know what it is you want out of the meeting. Even if the school is calling the meeting, you need to know what it is you want out the meeting. And when the school does call the meeting, you should know why. A lot of times schools will tell parents, we want to meet with you, you know, Friday at 3 o'clock with no reason why. You never go to a meeting without knowing why they want to meet so you can be prepared for what's about to happen. They love to catch our parents off guard. And too often we go right along with that system. So we have to be smarter.
Right.
We can no longer afford to be naive. Black parents are too naive when it comes to the school system, way too trusting, way too docile, and way too accepting of the school's agenda. You know, when I speak with parents and I ask them, you know, why did you allow your kindergarten student to be tested for reading disability? A 6-year-old can't possibly have a reading disability, not one that you can clearly prove. They're too young. You can't prove no reading disability in kindergarten and first grade. And when you ask parents, why did you do this, they'll simply say, because the school wanted me to. Like, the school asked if they could test my child. So we just go. It's amazing how docile we are, because we are the protectors of our child. Now, if somebody wanted to hurt our child on the street, we'd be ready to fight. But when we get inside these schools with these white folks and they want to hurt our kids, we just let them go right ahead and push their agenda. So we have to change that up. So I want to deal with that. But then, of course, I'm going to talk about the Frederick Douglass and Marcus Garvey Academy. As you two lovely ladies know, last month we closed on our property in Delaware, Wilmington, Delaware. That's where the school is. It's a beautiful campus. We have 4 buildings. It's a 4-building campus. The whole block is ours, basically. Nothing else is on the block but us, which is beautiful. So when we do our block parties and have our different events and functions, we don't have to worry about any neighbors being upset because there's no one else on the block but us.
Congratulations.
Congrats. You get a rubber band on the rubber band ball for that. Big rubber band.
Lord.
Indeed. Appreciate it. And we don't have...
so glad that it's happening.
Indeed. And we don't just have one school. We actually have 2. It's 2 schools.
Okay.
There is a large school, and then there is a small school. The large school has been renamed the Frederick Douglass Building, and the small school is the Marcus Garvey Building. And then we have a 3rd building, which is a gymnasium. So we have 2 gyms because the large school already has a large modern gym. And then we have a small little park area. And then we also have a 4th building, which I'm probably going to use as either a fitness center or a Pan-African library. And what I love most about the campus is we have all the space we need to host all the conferences that we want to host. So I'm looking forward. This is a victory for our children, but it's also a victory for the community at large because, not only will we be able to educate our young men, but on the weekends and after school, it becomes a full-service community center, Black Power organizing headquarters. We can do our Black women's conferences. We can do our Black men's conferences. We can do our ex-offenders conferences, our Black Wall Street. We can do our Black business initiatives. We can do everything we want to do, cooking class, Lamaze class, yoga, meditation, African spirituality, martial arts. In the large school, in the Frederick Douglass Building, we have approximately 16 classrooms. And in the Marcus Garvey Building, we have approximately 8 classrooms. So, you're looking at almost 30 classrooms, not including the gym. The gym itself could probably seat about 1,000 people by itself, not including the classroom. So, this is, without question, it's going to be the most important Black organization headquarters in the world, not just in the country, but in the world, because we own it. No one can tell us what to do. We don't have to worry about anybody charging us. We don't have to worry about anybody putting us out. We don't have to worry about anybody being upset with what we're talking about. We don't have to control our tongue. This is a school owned by the Black community, totally purchased with Black people's money.
You just said amazing things. Let me give you your feedback. Excellent, great, peace and love, hallelujah, hearts, likes, thumbs up, making sure that we give a support. All of that is happening not only on the Take a Solar Moment page, over on the personal page as well. This is how we're doing it this morning. We have Dr. Umar Johnson on the line who'll be visiting us in April. That's next week, the 5th and the 6th, if I'm not mistaken, already. It's spring. I want to dig into some of the conversation, bro, and because I've been exposed, goodness, if you don't mind swirling out, I really want to open up this platform. Good morning, Liji says good morning and thank you very much. Awesome, you guys. They're really excited, and I added like 3 rubber bands on the rubber band ball because you said so many positive things that are happening and flourishing. But I have a different light on education than I had the last time we talked. I've spent time in the classroom, mainly in the education department of English, and I enjoy it because I believe that our children should explore the opportunity to read and travel and have their mindset travel. And one of the things that I find very awesome about some schools is they allow their parents to really be engaged, and I see what you're saying when you're saying parents ask the right questions. What what are some of the steps that you think they should even take when engaging with the teacher? Good morning, Evangelist, over here on Take a Solar Moment page. And it says there's power in ownership. But what could you say to a parent when before it gets to the meeting, a lot of times they don't know the teachers or don't know how to engage in that conversation. Everything is computerized nowadays, so you need to have a link to the portal to follow your child's education nowadays. So understand that. But what can you say to them to really get to the stage before the meetings? What should they be asking?
Well, first of all, I mean, just some general things. Again, knowing what the meeting is about. So that's important. On top of that, parents should also find out whether or not the child's teacher is a highly qualified teacher. A lot of times we don't even know if the teacher is certified or not. We never ask. It's amazing how often our children are taught, and black children and predominantly black school districts are more likely to have inexperienced and uncertified teachers. So,
wow,
you know, your son's math teacher may not even be a teacher. Your daughter's language teacher may not even be a teacher. They may simply be a long-term substitute. You know, they may simply come from another industry where they simply needed a job, and because they had a clear criminal record and abuse record, they put them in the classroom. And why is that important? Somebody might say, well, why is it important to know if they're certified or not? Because you need to know if that person is properly trained in the subject they're teaching your child. And this is very relevant, especially for black boys, because how can a teacher recommend that your child be evaluated for a learning disability when they don't even know how to teach? Imagine someone telling you, I think your son has a reading disability. And you say, okay, the teacher said my son may have a reading disability. Let me get him tested. And then you find out after your child was misdiagnosed and put in special ed unnecessarily that the person who made the recommendation isn't even a teacher. And, you know, so that it's important to know. And according to No Child Left Behind, a highly qualified teacher is a teacher who, in education, so they went to college to learn how to teach, okay? They're certified or licensed, depending on the terminology that your state uses.
Yeah, the state.
Some states will call it certification. In Pennsylvania, it's a certification. In other states, they may call it a license. Same thing, just a play on words. Okay, you need to know that. Highly qualified teacher is also a teacher who has passed a test in education, which demonstrates that they know the subject matter that they're teaching. And then they have also demonstrated competence in that area by being properly supervised by the principal or whomever else from the school district that monitors instructional delivery. So, you know, knowing whether or not the teacher is highly qualified is key to you having trust in that teacher. You know, you got to know what you're dealing with, because we have schools, right? Like Buffalo. Let's take Buffalo. Let's take Syracuse. Okay, I'm willing to bet you that there's schools in Buffalo and Syracuse that serve our kids where less than 25% of the teachers are certified. I'm willing to bet you that. I'm willing to bet that we have students who are this year are in a class where they have no certified teachers on their roster. Their math teacher isn't certified. Their reading teacher isn't certified. Their language teacher isn't. The science teacher isn't. I mean, literally, imagine that. Your child is at a public school, okay, and none of their teachers are actually teachers. And then they want to come to you and tell you our children are underachieving. They want to tell you the test scores are too low. They want to tell you that the children are not doing their best. They want to tell you that they have ADHD and need some medicine to get an education.
And I'm glad you brought that up.
Exactly. But their education is in the hands of someone who don't even know how to teach.
You know, I'm glad you brought that up. Let me 406081 in here. You know, Dr. Umar Johnson, I'm so glad that you brought that up, because I'm sitting here and I'm looking at your book. And it's Psychoacademic Holocaust, the Special Education and ADHD War Against Black Boys. And, you know, we had did a show recently where we were talking the superficiality, and good morning to everybody that's on the line and that's listening. You know, we have these teachers out here. We have these teachers out here who are teaching our children, and like you say, they're not competent. They don't comprehend work. They don't work home child, expect the child to do the homework, or expect the mother or the parents to do the homework with the child. When in fact, the teachers don't even understand what they're teaching to the child. And speaking of books and reading and education, Mr. Queen, you know that's near and dear to the both of our hearts.
Yes.
You know, I definitely promote creativity and most importantly promote literacy. But what I want to do, this with Dr. Umar Johnson, for those of the people who had the book, read the book, can you please just give us a little excerpt or a little bit about the book, what you can expect from the book, you know, if you can?
Certainly. Psychoacademic Holocaust is basically a war manual. It's a war guide. It's a military technician's book. What I try to do in this book is walk parents through what they're going to experience when they go into the school, but more importantly, how to deal with it. And embedded within that is all the laws that they need to know, all the diagnoses and the criteria that they need to know, the process that they need to know, the techniques that they need to use. Simply stated, every black parent raising a child in America needs to read the book because it's the only book in print written just for black parents that teaches them how to navigate and succeed through the tangled and deceptive web of education and mental health.
Nice.
And so it's an absolute must-read. So there's a chapter on all of the major disabilities. So there's a chapter on ADHD. There's a chapter on a learning disability. There's a chapter on emotional disturbance. There's a chapter on the intellectual disability. There's a whole chapter on how to deal with behavior without medication. And that's the most important chapter because black parents have allowed these schools and the mental health cartel to brainwash them into thinking that they need medicine in order to teach the kids how to behave. That's amazing.
Wow.
That is and I got to say something.
Go ahead.
When it comes down to the medicine, sometimes, like you said, sometimes the therapeutic thing is having teachers in there, and I want to go here real quickly if I can, having teachers in there that they can relate to as well. I think that's important. Although we're looking at, and this is just me putting my 2 cents in it, we're looking at the side where we say, okay, what's going on in the school, but now we have to start educating and really encouraging more teachers of ethnicity and culture to go to school for this process so that you can be a part of the change because you're needed in the classroom. Those that have a passion for education but don't really want to take that path, it's well worth it so that we do have look of images of us inside of these institutions as well. So I wanted to just put that in there. Go ahead.
Well,
you know, sis,
to your point. Oh, go ahead.
Okay, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, to her point, you know, that's the way it should operate, but it doesn't operate like that. And the reason it doesn't operate like that is because the teacher unions that control America's schools, they work overtime to make sure teachers are not held accountable for the learning of children. The reason why you've seen so little innovation in public education, like despite all this research and knowledge and information and common sense, there's been almost no changes in public education in 50 years. In 50 years, you've seen almost nothing change. You know why?
Right.
Because the teachers' unions are so strong that they basically bully the school districts around America into what they will allow them to do with their teachers and what they will allow them to hold their teachers accountable for. Do you realize that public education is the only industry in America where you cannot be fired for not knowing how to do your job? It's the only place. There is no other professional in America who can keep their job not knowing how to do it, okay? I'm a school psychologist. If I don't know how to evaluate, you get fired. You get let go. People don't contract with you. If you're a doctor, you can be fired for not doing your job well. If you're a surgeon, you know, if you're a plumber, an electrician, everyone has to be competent in their job in order to keep it, not teachers. The way the union contracts are set up in most school districts, after you've been on the job for 2 or 3 years, you are automatically given tenure. You are automatically given tenure as a teacher after 2 or 3 years. You could almost not be fired for anything. That's why you see teachers who call black kids the N-word, teachers who, make all types of racist comments and things, and they never get fired because it's almost impossible to fire a public school teacher, especially a white woman. Especially a white woman. The only reason why you still have public school is because white women need jobs. That's the only reason why you still got public school. Because they have to find something to do with all these white women who will be laid off if public school is shut down. And that is a political nightmare for elected officials. It's also a nightmare for the economy. It's also a nightmare, for those who would be criticized and held accountable by feminist groups. If most school teachers were black, public school would have been done with 20 years ago. It would have been done with 20 years ago. But because it is a white woman's job bank, public school exists for white women to pay their mortgages.
We spill the tea on a lot of things, and I have never really went down that bag of avenues. And and you just put together something that it was like an eye-opener for us. And I'm saying that because I'm not the only one. Over on the other side, it's like, wow, you're right. And it also asks the question, it's like these eyes, like you never, wow, right, wow, that's interesting, teaching, right, can't be, right. Everybody's like, never really looked at it from that aspect, and that's the reason we appreciate you coming on to have our conversation starters in the morning. That's what we're here for, because we want to enlighten people and open their eyes to how to look at things, not from just one lens. The question comes to you, Dr. Umar, saying, will he be speaking on depression and anxiety within the black community? Our parents need emotional support too. Ooh.
Well, there will be a Q&A session. So if that person comes and they have a question about depression and anxiety, they can ask it and I'll answer it. You can't possibly, although I'm knowledgeable in most fields that involve education and mental health, probably every field, there's no way that you can touch on every single issue in a 2-hour talk. It's impossible. So what I try to do is I highlight the key areas of knowledge, but there's no way you can hit on everything. And it's funny, too, because, I've been lecturing for over 20 years now. All across the world, I've been on every continent except Australia. And it's amazing because people will come up to you after the lecture, and they'll say, well, Dr. Umar, you didn't talk about this, or you didn't talk about this, or you didn't talk about this. And I'm saying to myself, how much do you think you can actually pack into a 2-hour talk?
Yeah.
Like, it's amazing how people
we want it all in 2 hours.
Encyclopedia, but here's
yes.
the thing, though. If they read the book, or if they watch my videos, which are all over the internet, for example, I have a whole video on depression and anxiety. I have a whole lecture on that, just on that. So you don't need me to talk about it when I come to your town, because you can watch that on YouTube. I have.
But now you have to get me out of the mindset. Now you have to get me out of the mindset of captivity, because, see, first of all, you said in a book. In a book. There's a rumor about when you put things in a book. But then you talk, I'm just being funny, because people think that it's a myth. No, sometimes people don't realize how much is hidden behind the pages of a book. You can learn a lot by opening and discovering the pages. It's amazing. Do that. And then you also said we can follow you on YouTube. So you don't have to necessarily read. You can listen and watch. Things, I know, I had to go there, because it's like, we look for education, and like you said, Dr. Umar, I respect your time, and I think people don't really think about the time that you put into what you do. So respecting your time, maybe getting the book signed or something like that when you come here. Will you have the books when you come here? Reading is key, it truly is.
I will have the book when I come, and as you know, at the end of every lecture I do, I sign the books. So they will definitely be able to get the book and get the book signed. But again, I'm going to have a Q&A session too. So, she will have an opportunity to ask specifically about depression and anxiety, because I do agree with her. and I understand exactly where she's coming from. Most of our black mothers are struggling. They are struggling with no support to raise these children and fight an entire school system on their own. And most single black mothers are dealing with very serious, potentially fatal medical problems of their own. So not only are they raising 3 kids without a father and working 2 and 3 jobs and fighting an entire school system, they're also dealing with diabetes. They're also dealing with dementia. They're dealing with domestic abuse. They're dealing with trauma. They're dealing with alcoholism, and they have very little support. And to that point, in June 8th and 9th, and I'll also be talking about this in Buffalo next Saturday, and of course Syracuse the day after on Sunday, and that is in Wilmington, Delaware, where the school is. There will be a National Independent Black Parent Association training on June 8th and June 9th. It is 2 days. If you can only come one day, you can come one day, but it is a 2-day training, June 8th and 9th, where I will be training anyone who is interested in learning how to be an advocate, a better advocate for their child, or a parent advocate in general. I will teach you how to evaluate a psychological report. I will teach you how to evaluate a IEP. I will teach you how to write letters. I will teach you the diagnoses. I will teach you how to conduct a meeting, what to request when you're in a meeting. I will teach you all of the laws of special education, of school discipline, of school policy. It's 9 to 5, June 8th and 9th, and as a special treat, everyone who attends the conference on June 8th and June 9th will be given a special tour of the Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy campus.
Wow, that's what's up.
You heard it right here on Take a Solar Moment.
I just want to jump in really brief. This would be about your 4th appearance coming, correct? And each time you came, I had the pleasure of, in one of your lectures and being very enlightened. And last year was September 9th, I believe, of 2017. And I love how you inform single mothers on how to make sure they come into these meetings with a man, because when you come in alone, they already figure they have one up on you. And also, when you brought up the school system, with the American Caucasian teachers and the teachers union. Now, when you came, as you were saying that the teachers union was another union that you said would never go out of business, and I can't really recall off the top of my head. But I'm looking in the book, and if you can clear that up, that'd be awesome. But as I'm looking in the book, I'm at chapter 12, and you have dictatorship by definition, and you speak of the mental health monarchy and man-made disabilities. So can you give us a little bit of juice on all of those things before we part ways?
Oh, yes. What I speak on in that chapter is the fact that most of the learning disabilities and all of the disruptive behavior disorders, conduct disorder, ADHD, oppositional defiant disorder, and disruptive behavior disorder, none of them can be scientifically proven to exist during the psychological evaluation. The psychological evaluation does not prove a diagnosis. Let me say this again. The psychological evaluation report does not prove a disability. It only suspects that there is one. I want to be very clear about that. When someone says your child has a reading disability, they're giving you their professional opinion. They are not stating a fact. The tests that we administer do not prove disabilities. So when you say, my daughter has a math disability, you are not stating a fact. You are simply stating someone else's opinion that you have bought into. You cannot prove a reading disability. You cannot prove a math disability. You cannot prove an emotional disturbance. You cannot prove a mild intellectual disability. You cannot prove ADHD, conduct disorder, or oppositional defiant disorder. They are opinions only. They are ideas in somebody's imagination, and that's all.
Wow.
You have a question on the line that says, can you give the June information once again, please?
Yes, they can go to drumarjohnson.com, DRUMAR Johnson.com. That's the same place where they can purchase their ticket for the Buffalo and Syracuse lecture. They can also register for the National Independent Black Parent Association training, which is June 8th and June 9th, Saturday and Sunday, 9 to 5. The cost is $100. It is $100 because the information that you're getting is the equivalent of what most lawyers and psychologists would charge $500 for the information that I'm giving. So I'm only charging a fraction of what you would pay if you went to a white conference at a white hotel. That's what they would charge you for the information I'm giving out. Okay?
Okay.
And
at $100 for both days?
Total.
Or separately?
Total.
Oh, total. Okay, great.
It's total.
You can't beat that with a baseball bat.
Yeah, the price is the same whether you come one day or both. And that's because
Wow.
I want you to really come both days. Because you need to be there both days. But not only that, we're raising money. You know, we have things that need to be funded, you know, so we have to raise money. And the information and expertise that I'm giving out, it is worth way more than that. It is worth way more than that. As I said, when you go to these trainings, if you go online and you look up special education law trainings, look what they charge you for those trainings. Much more than $100. You know. And I charge $75 for consultations. I charge $75 for consultations. So
I want to thank you.
When you can just
I want to thank you.
Get all the information.
I want to thank you so much, not only for the information that you shared today. Good morning, Tina. Good morning, Ty. Direct prayers out to the families that are definitely looking forward to it. I want to thank Dr. Umar Johnson for joining us today. I want to thank you for the school. I want to thank you for coming to Buffalo and Syracuse. I'll give that shout out. I want to thank everybody who's saying they love you from Arizona, from PA. They all on here saying, oh my gosh, we just love Dr. Umar because you keep us informed and educated. Listen to the parents. Remember, you are not alone. There are things in place to help you create a successful student, and a lot of that is up to you really just taking advantage of the opportunity to meet Dr. Umar Johnson next Saturday, April 6th at 3 p.m. St. Luke's AME Zion Church, 314 East Ferry. That's in the city of Buffalo. And also, if you happen to just want to travel or are in the area of Syracuse, Sunday, April 7th, that's at 4 p.m. at People's AME Zion Church, 2306 South Salina Street. We want to thank you once again. Remember, it's the Sabbath coming in soon for those that observe always. Keep the Sabbath. If you do, who the Son sets free is free indeed. Dr. Umar, I am thankful for you coming on to the show again. Don't be a stranger now. You hear?
Oh, absolutely, Queen. Thank you. And lastly, if your parents need to reach me, 215-989-9858. They can text message me if they like. Again, 215-989-9858. And all children and all elders are free at every Dr. Umar lecture. So they don't have to pay for any child 17 and under. They don't have to pay for any elder 65 and older.
Beautiful. Yes, thank you.
Amani's child says she's going to be the first one there. Go ahead, goodness.
Yes, we thank you for being on. Thank you for coming here. We look forward to seeing a fix. You know, and I want to thank my sister Queen Katrina Chills. You know, it was 4 years ago that she put me on to you, and if don't nobody know about you, they need to know that somebody. So I just want to shout out my homegirl, Sister Queen Tweak, for putting me down on you a couple years ago.
That's how we do.
Yes, big blessings, and we looking forward to seeing you. It's a Freedom Friday. Get up, get out, and get them. Get them.
Make sure you share the show.
Peace and love, ladies.
Free from the herd.
Peace and